Even like with the mild, what if they're just starting to show symptoms? Because that's like an extreme thing, but is there anything people can do at home if they don't have access to?
I don't think the fecal transplant is an extreme thing. Animal biome, yeah, animal biome, you can get the little pee pills for $200. Do you know animal biome?
Order?
Of course, yeah. So you,
wow, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
so you can get like an order.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna have those actually here.
That's awesome. What is that?
Animal biome.
Fecal transplant kits.
Do you carry the HRI glyphosate test too?
No, not yet.
Oh, if you go to HRI labs, you can test your dog for glyphosate as well. And it's really cool if you do it after, if you do like a baseline and then after he eats, and you'll probably notice a lot more after he eats as well. So these are fecal, these are like oral, so you don't have to take your dog into the vet and get the whole big poo transplant done. These are actually poo in a pill. This is actually the test. But it's a couple $100, like it's not that expensive for a total reset like that with your dogs. And that's actually developed by, she's a PhD researcher at where's she? University of California, UC Davis. She's at UC Davis.
And what exactly does that do?
So what are you testing?
So what it is poo taken from healthy dogs. And so you take, because you have to culture bacteria.
Okay.
And you're not always going to get the same populations and the same percentages that you would in a healthy dog or any other species. So lactobacillus, it all comes from like dairy stuff. Again, that's why I like SBOs, because most of our dogs aren't eating outside. Make sure your dog eats outside, on the ground. If you're giving him a bone, and hopefully you're not spraying your grass, but let him eat outside on the dirt. And then you're taking all the species and all the right populations and getting them into your dog.
So do you think allergy testing is?
How accurate is allergy testing?
Like food allergy?
Food allergies? No.
Not?
It's not. Most dogs don't have food allergies. A true food allergy is an IgA reaction. And so it's like anaphylactic shock. And so dogs very rarely have food allergies. They might have food sensitivities, right?
Do you think
that's
a food sensitivity test is accurate?
So like the NutriScan test, like Gene Dodd's NutriScan, that's expensive at $300.
There is one on Amazon, it's a newer, it's called 5 Strains.
I would do
And they
Gene's.
do 200 food.
I would do Gene's test.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do Gene's test. I know Glacier Peak has like a sensitivity test too, and a lot of people would use it, but I would do Gene Dodd's
And you think that's
test.
accurate?
Well, I'll tell you when it's really, really useful is, it's funny because when Jean first got that thing, she was like, we were in LA at the time, she's like, you gotta come and look at my new thing. And I'm like, well, what's your thing? And so she showed us and she was all excited. And she said, send me the samples from a couple of your dogs. I said, oh, okay. So I actually sent her one for my horse and one from my Chili. And Chili was just an autoimmune disaster her whole life. Terrible allergies. Her nickname was Scooter because she scooted. She didn't even have hair on her butt because she was. And I literally looked at her several times in her life and thought I should consider euthanizing her because she is just so miserable with allergies and tore her cruciates 27 times. It's just a disaster. So so I sent Chili's in. And it came back sensitive to everything. She reacted to everything with both IgA and IgM. And Jean said, well, that's interesting. First of all, if you do the NutriScan test, do not follow Jean Dodd's instructions. Love her, know her, trust her. She's not a holistic vet. She will tell you to do things that are not holistic. So she said, well, I'll try sweet potatoes and this and that and the other thing. I'm like, yeah, no. So I was talking, with Julie Lee, and we're hashing it around. And we said, well, if she's sensitive to everything, it's leaky gut. So here, she was 11 or 12 at the time. Devastating allergies, wanted to euthanize her several times because they were so bad. Did some, repaired her gut, did all the things I needed to do to repair her gut, and she never had allergies again. Her ears were always dirty and inflamed in elephant skin, clear for the rest of her life.
Tell us how you repair for sure.
Oh.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do when you have a dog that's the tests come back sensitive to protein source.
Tammy, do you carry the Adored Beast stuff?
Not yet, I'm working on it.
Okay.
I love that stuff.
So Adored Beast has a leaky gut kit,
Okay.
that you can put your dog through. She didn't have leaky gut kit at the time, so, no. Go to dogsnatchrymagazine.com and we have a leaky gut guide. That is exactly what Adrian showed.
Okay.
We have a leaky gut guide. If you just search leaky gut and go on one of our leaky gut articles, or just go on our Facebook page and say, oh, hey, mention us, and say, or if you're an elite member, go on elite, that's even better, and just say, hey, can you give me a leaky gut guide? Yeah. Go to leaky gut guide, and there's a DIY guide there for you. Yeah, because most dogs have some sort of dysbiosis, and then what happens is when the bacteria in your gut are not balanced, the friendly ones poop out short-chain fatty acids, which are healthy. The pathogenic ones poop out LPS and all these toxic things, and what happens is it causes inflammation in the lining of the small intestine. That's where your dog's food is absorbed, is in the small intestine. That inflammation causes, there's a big mucus lining, and all of your dog's IgA antibodies are there, and they're the ones that grab, undigested proteins and foreign invaders before they can get into your dog's bloodstream. If you've got inflammation in the small intestine, then that mucus layer gets really, really thin, and the distance between the cells gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So now toxins, undigested proteins can pass through your dog's bloodstream. So that's what typically causes leaky gut, is these undigested proteins getting into your dog's bloodstream and causing just this chronic low-grade immune response. That's leaky gut. Yeah, so that's probably the most value from the NutriScan test. Yeah.
So you don't recommend the one? Yeah, I think that's the one we did.
I don't know.
Glacier Peak.
Yeah, a lot of people, before we did the Glacier Peak thing, before we carried it in our store, we tested it side by side with Jeans, and there was some affinity there. It's one of those things that I carry because I don't hate it, and a lot of people want it and love it. And it's more cost effective. For me, for my dogs, I would go do the NutriScan. I know you had a question.
Can we get back to the animal bio? We were a little concerned about the animals that they're using.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, so, we're talking about fecal transplants and the animals that they're sourced from.
What they consider a healthy animal?
Yeah. We have a deal with Holly where our fecal samples that are in our store only come from raw-fed dogs, because I think that's important. But there's all sorts of other things besides diet that can change, the microbiome. But what she does is she kind of takes the cream of the crop for the tests and kind of harvests from them. Now, here's the limitation with microbiome research. We know, if this was everything we need to know about nutrition, we know this. We know this. We know so little about nutrition. And then of that little bit that we know about nutrition, we know even less about the microbiome. This is all in its infancy. So inside your dog's intestine, there are all these bacteria, and they're like neighborhoods. And some of them like to live closer to the intestinal wall, and some of them like to live more like in the suburbs, right? Some of them like to live in the inner city, some of them like to live in the suburbs. When you're testing a dog's bacteria, what comes out in his poop is really only the bacteria that lives in the suburbs. You don't know anything about those inner city bacteria because they don't come out in poop. So there's definitely a limitation when we talk about the species of bacteria that live in the gut and how we repair it. So we have to rely on just a little bit of anecdotal evidence and just someone like Holly doing this research and getting these pills out there and measuring the results and making sure that they work. But we do know that dogs with more populations and people with more populations of like some species of bacteria like Firmicutes will have more chronic inflammation. So we do know those rudimentary things, but there are limitations. You know, it's just like that vitamin D test. We don't know if people are deficient or not because we can't measure the vitamin D that they use in their dog. Because you see, vitamin D has to be converted in the liver and kidneys to a usable form. So it could be that maybe dogs are vitamin deficient, but if they are, it's because their liver and the kidneys aren't working right. Right? So it could be a liver and a kidney problem, not a vitamin D problem. So nutrition is a very, very complicated topic. Yes?
Not to go back to that vitamin D thing, but you were talking about if dogs vitamin D deficient, you know, sardines, anchovies, Atlantic mackerel.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that you're not a big fan of fish oils, but then how do you get your DHA, EPA, and omega-3s in your dogs without fish oils? Do you rely on those?
Brain and eyeballs.
Pardon me?
Brains and eyeballs.
Brains and eyeballs.
Right? If you can source brains and eyeballs for your dogs, you will never ever need to give them fish oil because that's all the DHA they need.
In fish, whole fish.
And animals. So yeah, I get like sweetbreads, right? So I get Canada. God, anything goes in the abattoirs in Canada. I know we've got an easier go of it than you guys. I get the brains and I get eyeballs. And so what I do when we're doing. Has anybody here been to Raw Roundup before? Anybody here? Hey. Jeez. Hey, thank you. So this year for Raw Roundup, we're actually going to take you guys on a trip to the abattoir. And I'm going to show you all the stuff that I buy. And so, but what I do is I buy my organ meats. It's easy for me because I have 6 dogs, so it's easier buying a little bit of bulk and do it this way. But anybody can do this. So what I do is I think about the percentages of organs that occur naturally in animals. And I buy them in those rough percentages. So, and then what I do is I'll go to the abattoir, I'll buy liver, I'll buy kidney, I'll buy pancreas, I'll buy lung, I'll buy heart, I'll buy eyeballs, I'll buy brains, sweetbreads, and pancreas, spleen. I can get all those things. And even I'll do some testicles, right, and ovaries. And I'll grind them all up so that they're all mixed together, and then I add it as about 30% of my dog's diet. Oh, I have a problem. I can't go to Cabela's anymore. My husband has banned me from Cabela's because every time I go there, I come home with a new grinder. Or when I'm dehydrating, is I have rows of these dehydrators going because every time I go, they're on sale. But I have the I think I have like the 2 horsepower from. They're heavy. Does anybody have one of those things? They're heavy, eh?
We only have 1 horsepower though.
Yeah.
But it grinds up chicken feet and things pretty well.
Yeah.
You have to do at least a one horsepower in order to do both.
Yes, you do.
And even then we found turkey necks, forget it, it doesn't work.
Yeah, mine'll do turkey necks. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine the two, but the 1 horsepower does not.
And
Not very
it's
well.
the right time of year with Black Friday and Christmas coming up. They blow them out half price all the time. Isn't it animal or carnivore? Carnivore.
What, the name?
Yeah, I think they call it carnivore.
The grinders called carnivore.
Yeah, it's Cabela's own brand,
Oh, Cabela's.
but yeah, I think it's called the carnivore.
I don't know, come to think of it. I didn't think that's what ours was called, I'm not sure. But it is a Cabela's brand.
Yeah.
This is a little different. It goes back to the breeder I was talking to. I've read and heard so many different theories. Again, she has a lot of dogs and large dogs. Feeds kibble, 1 meal, raw eggs.
Yep.
Good, bad. Mix the 2.
Can I sit? Is it okay?
The wheelie? You want the wheelie one?
Yeah, okay, now. Do I need the wheelie one? Am I
No.
too short here? Not okay? Okay, the question was, yeah, feeding raw and kibble together. I know a lot of people poo-poo it. Listen, I would rather you feed half raw than no raw at all. The biggest problem is this. Your dog's gut, the pH in his gut changes with what he eats. So when he eats protein, it's quite acidic because it takes the acid to break protein down. If you ever take a chicken bone and put it in vinegar, you know how it gets like really soft and digested over time? Vinegar is about the same pH as what's in your dog's gut. But if you feed him starch, AKA kibble, then what happens is the pH will go up a little bit, so it makes it harder for him to absorb bone. So if you're combining, the biggest problem I see in combining kibble and raw together is if you're feeding bone. So if you're feeding like a pre-mixed raw, I don't see any issue at all. Whoa, what is that? Yes, hi.
Yeah, a little different question for you. You've amassed a lot of knowledge through the years, okay?
Okay.
And you had problems with your dogs, you wore and more and stuff. So how are your dogs doing now? Are they living longer, cancer-free, or different cancers are coming in that you didn't have before?
Okay.
You're continually chasing your tail trying to find?
Okay.
So what's happening with your dogs?
All right, well, that's a great question. So, yeah, I'm a natural rearing breeder, so the question is, are my dogs living longer over the years? Are they doing better? I have a couple of stories on that. So, I breed Labradors, and my Chili, who was an autoimmune disaster, lived to 14. But I started with healthy lines too. So if I don't get 15 or 16 years out of my Labradors, I'm a little disappointed. But I'll tell you this, genetics is everything. And, I think rescuing dogs is a great and noble thing. What I don't like is the rescue industry, because I don't like that people are soon not going to have the choice to get the dog that they want. Because if we all went to reputable breeders who took dogs back, if we all had dogs with predictable grooming needs, exercise needs, nutritional needs, then it's one of those things where nobody has the answer, but we have a lot fewer dogs, in rescues. So for me as a breeder, what I love about this is that I just, I don't want the baggage of a dog who's been vaccinated, spayed, neutered, and dewormed and gone through the stress of a home change all at 8 weeks of age, you know what I mean? It's really, really hard on a dog, and it really, God love you for taking those dogs in, because you have very often a behavioral challenge to deal with, and you have health challenges that you need to deal with as well. For me, I just, I've done temperament testing for rescues, I fostered, I give back as a breeder. But I like having my dogs because I have a lifestyle where I just need a certain kind of dog in that life, because I'm really busy and really want to go and lots of multiple dogs. So, so when I bred, I actually went to this breeder, and I don't endorse this. Don't get me wrong, but she lived. She's passed now. She lives in the Ohio Valley, where it's cold as anything in the winter. And these dogs, she lives in a trailer in a barn. And it's funny because her dogs are the best dogs in the world. They win everywhere. She goes to these dog shows, and all these beautiful little black dogs are boop, 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 all around her wherever he goes, and they love her. So, but she raises these dogs in veal huts, out in the elements, and there's like 5 or 6 dogs in a veal hut, and once or twice a day she takes Purina dog chow, throws it over the fence, and whoever eats and survives does, and whoever doesn't gets rehome, because they just can't live in that environment. Now, that's not how I raise my dogs, don't get me wrong, but I love those lines, because they are healthy and hardy as anything, The biggest problems in my lines are bad elbows, Labradors, and C-sections, right? So I love that I'm starting with those genes that are just super, super healthy and long-lived. I've got, my Audrey won a specialty show at 10 years of age. And she outlasted all the other, it's 90 degrees out, all the youngsters are just dying, and she's, show me the money, So I love that I have the ability to start with those, really, really clean lines. So for those of you who do work with breeders, don't pick a puppy, pick a breeder, right? If you, it's, and the same goes with rescues. There's different types of rescues, and there's different types of shelters. I don't care where you're getting your dog from. Don't go looking for a dog or a puppy. Go looking for a breeder, a rescue, or a shelter that shares the same philosophy that you do and raises their dogs the way you want them to be raised, because that's how you're just gonna connect with the right dog, I think.
Do you find people catching on to your philosophy, Dana, and the second?
No.
First
No.
education, for your clients, your customers, and the second part is, and I'm sure it's in one of your magazines in the past, deworming the puppies. What are you doing?
Yeah, so my Alice, who's 11 now, she was out of my Aaron, and Aaron was my heart dog, and he's one of the dogs I lost in that glyphosate thing. So Aaron, so a friend of mine bred her girl to Aaron, and I wanted a puppy back out of that breeding, so that's how Alice came to me. My friend was a natural rearer, but when she had that litter, her husband pushed her and her newborn baby against the wall, and she ended up in a shelter. And then a friend took those dogs over for her. By the time Alice came to me, she had lots of worms in her. And her litter brother went to a breeder friend of mine as well. And she called me up and she said, just so you know, my dog is vomiting worms, he's pooping out worms, and like this whole litter has worms. And I saw some tapeworm segments in Alice. And she said, you know, what are you going to do with Alice? And I was like, nothing. You know, I didn't see a whole lot of worms. She wasn't, you know, thrifty. You know when you see those thrifty wormy dogs, she was healthy, she was handling on her own. And a couple of tapeworm segments came out of her, but she matured. I just gave her the right diet, sunshine, fresh air, love, and exercise. And I saw one more tapeworm segment out of her when she was about a year and a half, and that's when we moved from British Columbia to Ontario, just probably the stress and move and all that stuff. So, we already discovered what a sterile immune system does to dogs. It even messes up their omega fatty acids. The same comes to worms. There's lots and lots of studies in third world countries that show that people with a little bit of a parasite load have a way lower incidence of allergies and diseases. So I don't get real hung up about worms. I used to like do fecal tests on my puppies. Now I just don't anymore. I go, there's your puppy. But I work with people who work with holistic vets. Like it's funny because people, you know, my husband will come across people and they'll say, oh, I heard your wife breeds Labrador and we're thinking of getting a dog. And my husband will go, she won't sell your dog. Right? And they get this horrified look. And he goes, look, it's nothing against you. Do you and your wife work full time? Yes. You don't get one of her puppies, right? Do you have a homeopathic vet on call? No, I don't. You don't get one of her puppies.